oil country is responsible for fentanyl, which is what Trump said. He said it's because of fentanyl. Now you're saying, well, no, it's because they're interfering with voting machines. That's what you're saying now? So it's not about fentanyl? This is the story now?
This is for educational and entertainment purposes only.
Hello, and welcome to the Think Tank, where we use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, and just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased and logical conclusions. Today we're here to talk about when someone is unarmed, it's a war crime to attack them. You do not attack unarmed people. You take captives. When you're doing an investigation into drug, and I'm prior military, but I'm not an expert. I'm not a cop, but I would think that if you saw somebody, if the police caught somebody smuggling drugs and they stopped and their hands were up, you would not just be able to unalive them. I would think that you would take them into custody, not kill orders. That is insane. So now the buck's being passed down the road. Dion, my co-host, is going to represent MAGA today and tell us his thoughts on it. Dion?
Welcome to the Think Tank. Hold on to that pinch of common sense. I'm District Leader Dion Powell, and hopefully we can expand it into a pound of common sense. I'm with the Bronx Conservative Party, political strategist, community organizer. Back to you, Leo.
So Keith Hegseth and Donald Trump have been mocking, making fun of, joking about the unaliving of Venezuelan people, Colombian people, people from the Caribbean in general, where their warships are just destroying Venezuelan vessels and others as well. But the war seems to be focused on Venezuela. Donald J. Trump has an oligarchy around him where he is now attempting to eradicate the EPA protections that keep us away from things like carcinogens, which literally means things that cause cancer. And he wants to go back to the good old days, which will enrich his oil tyrant friends. In order to gain more oil, I believe that he wants to go into one of the richest oil countries in the world, Venezuela, and make deals to take the oil, which the current administration there would not allow. So he wants to go in there and take the oil. This sounds familiar. It's almost like Bush in Iraq or something like that. I can't recall. So Donald Trump is now committing war crimes. Our country is committing war crimes on innocent Venezuelan people. And even if he's correct, let's walk down the path that Donald J. Trump is right and these guys are monsters and they're smuggling drugs all the way into America on boats that can't make it here because maybe they have an invention that we don't know about. Here's what's really happening. They have a teleportation machine in the bottom of the boat. And they're going to get a little bit away from the island into the waters, and they're going to hit the button and appear, and without enough gas to get here, they're going to teleport to American shores and get past our closed borders and smuggle because the borders are closed, and smuggle fentanyl, which does not come from Venezuela. Fentanyl comes from Mexico. Venezuela doesn't have fentanyl. So I guess mid-teleportation, they're going to stop in the worlds in between and grab the fentanyl from there and reappear at the borders of America with fentanyl and smuggle it past our closed borders. So now that we see how ridiculous this is, once these boats are bombed, the last one is the one, there's like 18 different boats bombed. They're just literally just bombing fishermen. This last one, you had two people that survived the boat, that survived the bomb. They're clinging on for dear life. In a general drug bust, the police can't come in and be like, hands up. People put their hands up and then unalive them. That's generally not how arrests work in anywhere, unless you're a criminal organization like a tyrant or something like that. You're supposed to arrest, and then you want to try and question them. You want to try and find out what's going on. Like, who's your boss? Like, how was you getting drugs into the country, especially being the borders are closed and drugs can't get into the country? So how was you doing it? What is your teleportation device? These are the questions that you would expect to come from an administration trying to actually stop actively stop a drug ring or drugs from being smuggled into our country. Dion, what is your input on this?
Well, number one, when it comes to oil and natural resources, the president and this administration would love to drill, bury, drill here within the continental United States, as well as Alaska, because that puts our people to work and that would bring down costs from having to buy oil from other countries like Venezuela. Now, when it comes to these attacks over there in the Caribbean Sea, this something that I believe from our network stems from election integrity, in which Venezuela, thanks to Elon Musk's discovery and some things brought to Susie Wiles, the chief of staff's attention, actually has influence over Dominion's voting machines internationally, interfering with elections. So this is an indirect result of that. However, it should be called into question as a veteran. Thank you for your service. These kinds of military actions that result in death. For example, in the previous administration, the first administration of President Trump, he wasn't really with all this military intervention. But now, all of a sudden, the second term has increased. So these are one of the reasons why people like Marjorie Taylor Greene has raised the red flag in the MAGA universe. Like, hey, this is not really the Trump that we wanted, which was pro-war. And like you said, potentially this is about oil, but for people like me about election integrity and what Venezuela does with election interference internationally, especially into our own country, there's something else going on here. But we'll see. Republicans and Democrats call into question because when military force is used, that's a very serious matter that could escalate into different areas if it goes left fast. And as a veteran, I'm sure you had to take classes on this when you were in basic.
Well, I mean, not only did you get trained not to shoot innocent people, unarmed people, like, I mean, I would go as far as to say is that that is probably as an American citizen, common sense, which, the Common Sense Party generally doesn't utilize. But I would like to address your election interference assertion. If election interference was the problem, then Donald Trump, whom got to be president because most of MAGA came from Kenya, which parts of Africa was it? The MAGA influencers on X that influenced the election all came from outside of the country. So this is a fact now. This is already being worked on by bipartisan, which, in case you don't know, means Republican and Democrat, not you. Your civil knowledge is higher than mine. But in case you don't know, means Republicans and Democrats are working together in Congress to find out how and why so much interference came from outside of the country to put Donald Trump in place. Now,
That's
speculation.
The voting machines themselves. That's something that they're calling into question.
This is so ridiculous. So now the thing is they're going to war with Venezuela because Venezuela is interfering with our voting machines. That is
Remember the Dominion voting machines that President Trump called into question that you're laughing about in 2020? Yes, that's what's happening. Venezuela has used the Dominion voting machines allegedly and some other vendors internationally, not just in America, to influence in elections across the board. So that's how it's done. The voting machines itself, especially when they came into the mail-in ballots.
Yes, the country of Venezuela, I get it. So the country of Venezuela has now gained the capability to interfere with the voting machines, with the technology that was put in place by guess who? Elon Musk. Got you. They're smarter than Elon. They got everything.
That's two separate issues. That's two separate issues. Elon
It's the voting machines. He's the one who, like the voting machines. The tech came from Elon. So Venezuela's probably got people
that's fact checking.
I'm sorry?
Where's the fact checking? Elon Musk has nothing to do with the voting machines themselves.
So you're saying that Venezuela sent in secret agents?
No,
Venezuela, the oil country, is responsible for fentanyl, which is what Trump said. He said it's because of fentanyl. Now you're saying, well, no, it's because they're interfering with voting machines. That's what you're saying now? So it's not about fentanyl? This is the story now? You're changing the story completely. It's not fentanyl now. That's what I want to be absolutely clear that Venezuela is interfering with elections on a global scale, and it's not about fentanyl at all now. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that on the surface, the mainstream media and the president have pushed a fentanyl narrative, whereas behind the scenes, people in the conspiratory wing of MAGA and beyond, that's like, hey, what's really going on here? Are questioning Venezuela's relations to Dominion, which owns the voting machines, and how Venezuela interferes with elections in America 2020 and beyond, and how the president is always questioning election results because of this. And some people
Well,
believe that the
being that
president
Trump got into office, if they were interfering with the elections, wouldn't that be that mean that they helped Trump? Being that he won by such an
no,
overwhelming amount?
no,
Oh,
that
it was
means
just too
that
big to
that
rig?
means
Is that what it
that
was? It was too big to rig? God, this is so stupid. I'm sorry, go ahead, man. This is ridiculous. This is crazy.
well,
This right
if
here
you
is
look
crazy.
at Alex Jones, another conspiracy theorist, for example, and you can see if you listen to some of his podcasts and others that this traces back to the Dominion voting machines out of Venezuela and 2020's election results. However, this time around, they were able to catch it early behind the scenes,
All
thanks
right,
to
fine,
Elon Musk and some other
fine.
auditing tools.
Right.
So
Whatever.
you guys can laugh if you want, but yes, this is a part of MAGA world which is elected integrity, questioning the 2020 election results as a result of these electronic voting machines by Dominion.
I would go as far as to say that this might have been put into the consciousness of MAGA through MAGA influencers that came from Africa. Because that's how it works. Anyway, because that's ridiculous. But I'm not even going to argue that. So let's talk about the point. The fact that orders were given to unalive, unarmed men that could not defend themselves. Why? What do you think should happen? Because Donald Trump's going to claim immunity and probably get the immunity, believe it or not. Keith Hegseth is in trouble. He's trying to pass the buck down to Mitch McConnell. What do you think is about to happen to Keith Hegseth based on this?
The Congress probably is going to want to have an inquiry if it's got enough bipartisan support of Pete Hegseth. And he's also revealed how much he is pro-war instead of defense, because there's a difference. DOD now be called Department of War, so he seems as though he's bloodthirsty, as it were, with these indiscriminate attacks and strategy, and then on Venezuela soil. So the president and his administration have found certain loopholes to getting things done, which normally have to get passed through the bureaucratic process of Congress and voting therein.
Do you think there's a possibility that he's going to see jail time for murder?
Maybe after this administration, if the Democrats regain power, then they're going to
It's
make sure.
bipartisan, my brother. It's bipartisan. That means the Republicans are looking into it just as hard. They're just as pissed. I don't think they have to wait.
If the Democrats get power, yes, they will try to trial and send this man in jail to make an example of him.
Do you think an example should be made out of somebody just unaliving unarmed people?
After they get their due process and it's proven, sure. Just
I
like the
agree.
president of the United States has certain mechanisms to protect him as president of the United States right now, and his case is being dropped. And some things are being upheld. But we'll see, because now he's going back to the court system to revisit some of those court cases through lawfare. So some of these felonies actually might be dropped or erased or expunged. We'll
We're not
see.
going to dive into
You can't
Donald
say
Trump
that
because
he's
that's
a
a whole
felon. He's a felon.
conversation.
He's a felon. He's a
He's a
felon.
felon. He's a felon. But
No matter
because he
what.
is. He is. And actually, what's happening with the case, we're not going to get into it now, but you're going to have a long, hard battle talking about that. But we're not going to delve into that now. In your mind, you don't want to hear him being called something he's been convicted of. I get it. That's the MAGA mindset. But we're talking about Keith Hegseth. And I agree that due process is in order. So we're in agreement. If you're liking the content, please like, share, subscribe. You can catch us every Sunday, 9 p.m. We're trying to get to 100,000 views. Please subscribe. Help 100,000 subscribers. Please come join. Help us to reach our new goal. Thank you for coming. Dion, any closing comments?
Yes, we are the media, and so are you. But please, 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 Always look at other sources of media. Like I mentioned earlier, other podcasters on the right, just hear them out and do your own research.
And note that a lot of the influencers are coming from Africa, and this has been proven by Elon Musk's leak. This is facts now. This is not left-wing conspiracy. A majority of the right-wing influencers are being paid, and they're bots from Africa. That's where we're at now, unfortunately. Oh, well, this is Leon Dion signing out.